never have adopted Jake if it hadn't been for the men with the shotguns. There's not much for me to do as the bouncer in the Black Bear bar in Kalkaska, Michigan. Picture a small town, a failing saloon, and me in the corner. A big, grumpy guy nursing beers and grudges in equal measure. And you pretty much have the scene. I was sitting by myself at a table watching my sister Becky watch the only two patrons in the place, a couple of pretty ladies named Stasia Gaffney and Cora Sins. Becky is the person who involuntarily contributed the doll wardrobe to Spooky's diet back when we were kids, a bit of information I have never shared with her, preferring to hold it back so I can spring it on her at an opportune moment, like maybe when I'm losing an argument. Becky is master of the forlorn look. For as long as I can remember, she's been a little sad, her mouth pulled small and her brown eyes shadowed. The random lottery in the womb won me my dad's DNA, so I grew past 6 feet in high school, 200 pounds of muscle that could hit the line hard and fast, a football tucked under my right arm. Since then, I've let the biceps go a little soft and packed on another 20 pounds or so, but I still can intimidate drunks when I need to. Becky is as petite as my mother and was shy and unpopular growing up, everyone always asking her if she really was Ruddy McCann's sister, because she seemed so different. She owns the Black Bear, and I could read her calculations as she regarded Stasia's and Cora's painfully slow consumption of Pinot Grigio. Another night when the income fell short of the outgo money-wise, Becky's forlorn look was not without cause. I figured that by the end of the week I could kick in a few extra bucks to help her enterprise. I'm not just a bar bouncer. I have a far more glitzy occupation during the day. I'm the local Repo Man. Stasia lifted her glass and took a tiny sip. She was drinking so slowly she was losing more wine to evaporation than consumption. Becky and I exchanged glances. A "why did they order it if they're not going to drink it" expression on our faces. And that's when 2 guys burst in the front door, crashing into each other like hockey players after a puck. They were dressed in normal June in Michigan outfits, jeans, sweatshirts, dirty running shoes. Well, the ski masks pulled down over their faces were a little unusual, plus they were carrying shotguns, which they pointed at the bar, clearly expecting someone to be standing there. Becky had moved to stand by the phone in the corner. "This is a robbery," one of them yelled. "Nobody move." "Freeze!" the other one shouted. He aimed his shotgun at Stasia, who obeyed and froze, her wine glass halfway to her lips. Her pale skin went, paler. Cora stared, her blue eyes frightened and wide, looking afraid to even blink. There was a long, tense moment. "Hey," I finally objected sternly. I didn't like the men threatening our customers. They both swung their weapons in my direction. "Better," I grunted. Because they were looking at me, they could see, looming in the corner, the reason why Becky's place was called the Black Bear. A thoroughly taxidermied bear stood upright behind me, his claws raised and lips drawn back in a snarl. "Yeah!" the taller of the 2 men shouted, jumping back in surprise. "Jesus!" the shorter one exclaimed disgustedly. "I told you there was a bear. You almost gave me a heart attack." I looked over my shoulder at the beast. "That's Bob," I introduced mildly. "He's a bear, or used to be, anyway." "Well, it doesn't exactly make for a friendly atmosphere," the taller one complained. "Right. You're pointing guns, but we're the unfriendly ones." He stiffened, going back to being a tough guy robber. "Just do as we say and nobody gets hurt," he scowled. His lips looked oddly wet and thick in his mask. Pretty repulsive if you want to know the truth. "Empty the cash